Hello, it's the Underdog here, and today I want to talk about something really strange about YouTube censorship. Elementary. Having been thinking about YouTube censorship policies, I must admit I'm quite baffled. As a lot of people have noticed and started complaining about, the censorship policies and the reasonings, or rather the policy violations, are so broad that essentially any and all video content on YouTube is technically in violation. It says any controversial or sensitive subject. I'm just wondering, what subject isn't controversial? And there really isn't. There really isn't any. It's like, even if you went down to food, which food restaurant does the best food, and which tea tastes the best, and which drink of water tastes better than this other drink of water, and should you have bottled or tap water? And none of it makes any sense. I mean, they even censor cussing, which is even stranger. YouTube know full well that this is going to incap on every single one of their major YouTube content creators, and in fact there's practically no manoeuvring room whatsoever. As some people have pointed out, they say that they express agreement with the points that, it encaps violence, but the problem is, the way it's phrased isn't saying violence posted by extremists, but videos that contain violence. Now, you're probably wondering what's the difference, but if you've ever been on the receiving end of police brutality, there's a very big difference. And extremists post violence online in order to try and promote their little agenda or inspire terror in people, and it has all the effect of a potato recording of something that looks like it's come out of a dodgy horror set. But when it comes to police brutality, people upload that stuff to demonstrate that police officers are acting in corrupt and unorthodox manners. This is very strange because, of course, police have body cams, but as it tends to be the case, body cams tend not to quote-unquote work when some form of corruption happens. So it's down to the public to record such corruption. Now the question is, why would YouTube incap such a thing? In fact, why would they create policies so broad that it encaps everyone's ability to monetize their videos? Now, to my mind, either YouTube have completely lost their marbles in one sense, or they're under a lot of pressure from an external outside influence. My first thought is government, but I've never seen a government exert this much influence over Google before, and the fact that they've suddenly started now is really strange. The other one is that perhaps YouTube or Google are in financial dire straits, and this is their way of not paying out YouTubers by constantly demonetizing their videos, and this is an actual fact, a red flag that YouTube is about to go under because it doesn't have the financial capacity to pay all of its YouTube content creators the financial money. This could just be a money-making exercise. But there's too much speculation at this stage. I know some people have suggested that it's perhaps the social justice warriors, but if you'll see in my quote just here, I will quote a video where an SJW actually says that they're worried about YouTube censorship as well.
People can't talk about racism, people can't talk about Black Lives Matter, people can't talk about abuse of the justice system, we can't talk about anything, we can't talk about Donald Trump. We can't have an opinion. We can't talk about any... what are we supposed to talk about?
Because it means that they can't talk about racism or Black Lives Matter or social justice issues, which are, of course, controversial. And it's strange that neither party on either side of the fence seem to know where this censorship is coming from. The people who are opposed to the sort of overly sensitive attitudes are saying it's the SJWs, but the SJWs are just as shrugging their shoulders as well, because they don't know where it's coming from either, and they're concerned it will prevent them from speaking out on social issues. And indeed, it has incapped the ability for people to speak out for the mistreatment of Palestinians. Videos have been demonetized on that. So the question is, who is behind all of this censorship? Now, of course, I can't answer that question. It seems very strange that YouTube would incap its content creators, or why it would suddenly turn rabid for its advertisers, or who's putting out so much pressure. But it certainly raises an eyebrow, and is certainly a question that needs to be answered. Now, in the interim, what we need are strategies on how to deal with this problem. How do we fight back against this censorship? Well, firstly, I will direct YouTubers, or people who at least have accounts, under your YouTuber creator panel, there is an option to submit feedback to YouTube. You might want to be able to, use that and complain about the censorship and how it's incapping your ability to create content. If enough of us speak out, it might force them to change their mind. I will keep a lookout for any potential petitions that might be coming down the pipeline, which will encourage people to sign it saying we condemn YouTube's censorship practices. But in the interim, I'm thinking that if YouTubers are brave enough, we should all include controversial subjects at the end of every single video. It doesn't matter which video it is, whether it's gaming tips or tricks, whether it's giving advice or a how-to, we should just insert one subject that is completely advertiser unfriendly as a sort of way of flipping YouTube the bird, so to speak. Because if YouTube demonetizes everyone's video, they won't have enough revenue to support all the videos. Now, they say they'll permanently demonetize YouTube channels if they do repeat infringing behaviour. So I don't know what the major YouTubers are planning to do with this. Philip DeFranco says he's got contingency plans on finances, so I'm hoping he sticks through and fights it out. But the more YouTubers and the bigger YouTubers who get on board with this, inserting advertiser unfriendly stuff into their videos, the less that YouTube has to advertise on and less revenue, until they come to their senses and realise that this is a completely stupid policy. Now, obviously, I can't force anyone to follow through. This is just merely a suggestion to the community. Maybe other members of the community can also come up with ideas on how we fight back this censorship. But at this stage, we need planning. We need to take action. We cannot just sit around ranting. I know it sounds a bit contradictory and hypocritical with me ranting in this video, but I think at this stage action needs to be taken. In one of my newer gaming tips videos, I will be inserting a controversial subject on the end of it, and every other video I upload, whether it's comedic or not, I will insert some controversial subject or something that I think is advertiser unfriendly. And if we all do it and we all monetize our videos and they unmonetize it, they have to waste all their resources hosting videos that they cannot monetize or they cannot advertise on. And that's the other thing that makes no sense to me. YouTube say that controversial topics like news, war, politics, natural disasters, blah blah blah, aren't advertiser friendly. So I have a question for YouTube, and this one's quite pertinent. What do you think all the news channels do in between their commercial breaks? Oh, that's right, they advertise. So why is reporting disasters and war and politics and controversial subjects so opposed to advertising, when advertisers will gladly slap their adverts all over controversial political candidates? I think at one point you had Coca-Cola backing Donald Trump. We got Google who are backing Hillary Clinton. So they're perfectly fine taking political sides in their little corporate war. But apparently if you report on this or you mention this, oh no, little Jimmy Joe, you can't report on it. Only big old YouTube can. Big YouTube's professional corporate lobbyists can only get involved. You can't say anything. You have to stay quiet. Well, I think there's something that stinks about all of this. I don't know about the rest of you, but there's something fishy going on. Why would they censor the very thing that advertisers can be found in newspapers. Newspapers post controversial stories. The Guardian post the leaked by Edward Snowden. That was controversial. They post the wiki leaks of the murders by the US military. That's technically information of a violent and graphic nature. But advertisers still advertise on The Guardian. So, what is YouTube doing? Why is it lying straight through its teeth at us? It's clearly nothing to do about advertising standards. Have you seen the content that advertisers will advertise on? You can go on porn sites and there will be adverts there, even though it's a porn site. You could go onto a gamer site full of violent games and there will be advertisers there trying to sell you their games. Clearly, this has nothing to do with advertisers' standards. So, YouTube are lying to us, and something reeks about all of this. The question is, my YouTuber fellows, what is it that reeks?